In prep for the show, this piece is all about why it's broken. Um, I guess let's get straight to the point. Why is that traditional team model broken?
So traditional team building is generally long, it's generally expensive, and it's generally an event. It's one thing that people are banking on to change culture or motivate employees or recognize employees. And the simple fact is that it's not an event, it's a process that just like any other part of your business, if you want to instill fun as part of your culture, it takes time and it's repetition. So that traditional model of some big expensive event is broken. And nationally, there's statistics that support it. So the traditional holiday party and summer picnic, especially on weekends, are not well attended, right? So they're, you know, employees feel it's more obligatory to go to those. And companies spend a fortune. So the average holiday party is well over 20 grand. And we tell people, geez, for half of that price, we can do things 12 times a year for you at your company that will produce a much better result. So and again, the fact is that employees don't recognize these events, those traditional team building events, as fun. You know, they're a little bit feel like they're creepy. Sometimes when we walk into a new business and somebody mentions the word team building, you can see people's eyes roll and they get all, wigged out, and they're anticipating, trust falls and invading their personal space and holding hands and singing Kumbaya, and it just doesn't work. So everything that we design is fast, engaging, right? That it's, we want people to be, active, engaging, and brief, just so that it's kind of, hey, a break, it's like a little recess, and then you move on. You get back to work, you're more energized, you're ready to go. So I tell people, don't bank on these single events. They really are expensive and don't really produce the result that people are looking for.
And do you think maybe these events are leftovers from when, Fortune 500, Fortune 100 companies did them and people liked them because they didn't have all the kids' activities and everything else people are so overwhelmed with today? Do you think that's maybe part of the reason why the single big events are no longer fun?
I think so, and I think they also are usually heavy in messaging, so that there's some kind of message that the company wants to get across, and there's debriefing after the event, so it doesn't really feel fun. It's more like the company kind of set me up on this team building event because they want me to learn something, or there's some messaging that's laid in, and I think that that's turned some people off over the years. And I don't want to totally discount it, because doing something is better than nothing,
Right.
right, in all cases. And so I applaud companies who make an effort to do something, but I think that what people are really recognizing is that there's a new model, a new way. We've certainly learned it, firsthand over the years. So, and we talk to a lot of employees, so we know what they like and what they don't like.
Yeah, definitely. And do you think maybe that, other than it being, I'll say, an old guard type of thing, and like you said, I fully admit and agree that doing something is better than doing nothing. If you're doing nothing right now, I'd recommend you just reach out to Nick and to Nat in the fun department to get it started right. If you're already doing the picnics and everything else, hey, Nat, Nick and I, there was the first one. So, folks, I've been having trouble with Nick's name all day, and I finally screwed it up. So now there's a count of one that I've called Nick Nat. The over under is now set at 3. So for those of you betting, place your bets now, and we'll give you a tally at the end. So it's at 1. We'll see if it goes any higher. But Nick, from I remember those corporate days, the corporate picnics and the corporate team building events, and hey, let's have the softball games and let's have all this stuff. And I remember, it was frustrating. It's like one Fortune 500 company I worked for, they would do the summer picnic and they would have a softball game. So you'd have to organize teams, and you'd have to, and it's like, it wasn't even like just kind of show up and, we're just going to kind of show up and play and have a little bit of fun. It was, it was work, and then it was okay, who's going to do the catering and who's going to do all this, and it's like, like you said, it becomes less fun and more work. The other question would be, do you think it's the age? Do you think does it have anything to do with the changing age demographic of corporate employees nowadays, where the older employees, the ones that grew up knowing that knowing and liking the picnics and everything else, are now migrating out, and they're younger people who want quicker things and just want more fast-paced fun.
Absolutely. I think that dynamic has definitely changed, and we are in a world that spins faster these days than it ever has. So people are accustomed to more instant gratification and moving on to the next thing. So I think that has a lot to do with it. But we still get calls every week. We got one the other day. Somebody says, I need 4 hours of team building. And I say, geez, well, what's your goal? What are you trying to accomplish? Well, we're trying to break down the silos in between departments and get people to, interact with one another. And we say, great, if you've allocated 4 hours of time, we'll come in, and if you really need to stretch the limit, we'll do something for an hour and a half that's amazing. It'll be more fun than you've ever had. And then send those people home early, and you'll be a total rock star. And you will have saved a ton of money, because 4 hours of team building is pretty expensive. And I also say there's a law of diminishing returns, right? So if you've ever had a massage for 4 hours, or have you seen a comedian for 4 hours, right? Like, it's just after an hour, it's really not that great. There's a law of diminishing returns. So
Yeah.
again, just another argument for this brief model. And you're right that the generations and just the way of the world today, it's just everything's moving much faster.
Yeah, and I love what you just said about the fact that somebody approaches you, because I think it's really vital to know. It's like your ideal client it appears to be somebody who recognizes that this is a process. But if somebody approaches you and still has that old world mentality of let's just do 4 hours of team building and that's going to fix everything, that you at least have something you can offer them that's a win all the way around, a win-win-win for everybody. You get more business, they look great, and they start down the road. And I think that's the biggest thing. Would you say if somebody approached you like that and they did look at the 1 hour, hour and a half, is that at least enough to get things kick-started for them to realize that there's more that could happen, and that that there's a better way of doing things?
Sure, and that's usually how we start an engagement with a customer. Someone will call us for a team building kind of event, or that's where the initial inquiry comes in. And then it's really up to us to do some education. So we really want to find out what their goals are, what their culture is. We do like a needs assessment, and then we can make recommendations from there. But people, once they see us and we do something, we deliver some fun for them, we're always called back. So, and it's just an opportunity to have that discussion about what are you doing the rest of the year? So if you did this one event, what's going on the rest of the year? So is there a way we can help you with your culture? And 9 times out of 10, we can actually save people money from money they've already allocated to these bigger events. And again, they're just not that effective anymore. So this is kind of it's a shift in paradigm. It really is. It's getting people to recognize that there's a new way of doing things.
Yeah, epic. And I guess to kind of wrap this piece up about why the traditional team building model is broken, what I'm hearing, and correct me if I'm wrong, that the traditional team building model really relied on the individual to take to take that next step. In other words, they would go in for this team building, and then once they would come back to the company, it would be up to the individual really to say, okay, are we going to continue to build this team? Are we going to continue to partner? Are we going to continue to do things differently? Whereas your model is something that, because it's part of the process, it's the journey, if you will, that while they do have some responsibility, not only is it fun, you've got ongoing things that become part of the culture and help the employees. So it isn't only asking two people who may have had challenges working together before to build this relationship. It's asking them to at least start to do it, but then having more positive reinforcements come throughout the year. I mean, is that a fair thing to say?
Sure, because like we had talked earlier, to do one thing and expect an ongoing result is unrealistic. So when people know that there's fun along the way, there's things that are coming and this starts to happen, then that's when you can really start to see the benefits. And it's in things like creativity and collaboration where people get to know one another in a way they've never known each other before. They might have worked together for 20 years and now they're having some fun and learning maybe the personal side of this person. So it really does work when you do it consistently and on company time, in particular on company time. And I'll stress that because a lot of things have been scheduled after hours, and our lives, our demands with work and kids and all that today, it's just too challenging to do. People don't want to spend their time after work to have fun. They want to go have fun with their families and their friends.
And it feels so much better to have fun on the company's dime than it does on your own dime. Let's face it.
Oh,
That is the it's the reason in the old days that business trips and expense accounts and everything were so nice, because it's always more fun to have fun on the company's dime than it is. And I think it kind of, and I don't want to digress too much, but I think it kind of like it's that forbidden fruit thing where you're really not supposed to be having fun on the company's dime, and even though somebody says it's okay, it kind of feels like, ooh, we're getting away with something. So anyway, we could talk forever on why the traditional team model is broken. I think team building model is broken. I think at this point, all our viewers understand that Nick's got his fingers and thumbs and all of his knowledge on the pulse of why that traditional team building model is broken, and what the best way of going about doing it today is. So let's move into how to attract and retain the best of the best.
To watch the rest of this epic episode now, click on the link below the video. Do it now, you'll be glad you did. Are you still here? What are you waiting for? Watch the rest of this epic episode now by clicking on the link below the video.